Good morning. It is Friday, October the 29th at 9 a.m. It's a crisp fall morning. The Commissioners Court of Kirk County is now in session for a workshop. We'll do the workshop first, and then we'll go into a special meeting. I want to advise everybody that if you have come and you want to address the court, you need to fill out the public participation form. Hello.
Judge,
Yes.
this is Miranda with Grant Works. I'm calling in remotely for the workshop.
Okay. You have anybody with you?
I'm trying to get Matthew on the phone with me. If you'll give me just a minute, I'm going to merge him in, okay?
Okay, we're going to go ahead and do the preliminary remarks, and then we'll just keep stay on the line.
That will be great. Thank you.
But anyone out in the audience, if you want to address the court, you're going to need to fill out a public participation form. You can provide that to the county clerk, which is sitting right over here. Let me begin by saying that we're excited about starting this process. We know that everyone is eager, but today the workshop is not about individual projects. It's not about individual requests or needs. It is about policies and procedures and process of how we're going to go about doing this. And so what we're trying to do is we know everyone's excited. We're excited. These monies were unexpected from the federal government. But, nonetheless, we need to proceed very deliberately and carefully as we approach this process. So I want to throw that out there because I know some people may think this is the time to come advocate or pitch your need, and today is not. Next Thursday afternoon, November the 4th at 1:30 at the Youth Event Center, we're going to have a public workshop. And that will be to teach you our policies, procedures, and process that we're trying to adopt today so that you can appropriately express your interest and your concern. So I'm just trying to make sure everybody knows where we are with this. And I know I've got Miranda, what's your last name?
It's Harris.
Harris, from Grant Works. For those of you that don't
And Matthew
know.
Pritt,
Okay.
Judge Matthew Pritt is on the line with us too.
Okay, good. And what you're hearing is we have two people on the line from Grant Works. For those of you that don't know what the county has done, we have worked with Grant Works for years. With the East Kirk County wastewater line, they've been our grant administrator. We have a very good relationship with Grant Works. We think that's long-standing. And we retained Grant Works to be the grant administrator for these ARPA funds. And let me clarify that these are not grants, these are funds. The federal government, through the American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA is what we're talking about. That's the acronym. Has awarded funds to local governments to try to address the losses that we've had as a result of the pandemic, and also preventative measures going forward if there's another surge in the virus. So with that, we have on the line Miranda Harris and Matthew Pritt, both from Grant Works. This contract with Grant Works.
Let her introduce the other people.
Okay. Miranda, I know we've got several people in the program. Lori Gelson is here. Lori was here with us on.
Yes, sir.
And then we've got two more at the back of the room. I met them, but I don't remember your names.
This would be Aurelia. Could you announce your last name?
Aurelia Cardenas, I'm with Grant Works.
Okay.
I'm in the Callan office, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
And Joe Carroll, which is one of our vice presidents and my boss.
Welcome. Welcome. So, with that, Lori, I think we've got the people on the line.
Yeah.
And we're gonna start with if you look at the workshop agenda, we're gonna go down to the middle of the page where it says procurement policies and procedures checklist. And we're gonna start with that because we've got them on the line, and then when we finish that, we'll go back to the regular order of the workshop. So, Miranda, you wanna proceed with that?
Okay, Judge, yes, thank you. On procurement, and I talked with Tanya day before yesterday it was, or yesterday morning it was, sorry. One of the things I want everyone to understand is the 2 CFR 200, what we presented for the county to approve, is simply specific to federal funding. We have a checklist that will be utilized for people to confirm that the procurements are meeting 2 CFR 200. However, I want everyone to understand that whatever the county has in place at the local level for procurement purposes, whatever is most stringent is what has to be used. 2 CFR 200 and the Appendix 2 is specifically for federal funding. Now, in the same breath, I'm going to say this. It's advised that the county adopt that as a cover for the county itself for 2 CFR 200. However, it's not a requirement as long as procurement is conducted in a manner that meets 2 CFR 200, but also further meets the local level of procurement policy and procedure.
And I think that's what, I'm looking at Jody, that's our tab 4, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the proposed procurement policies and procedures that you're recommending, is that right, Miranda?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. And so,
Strictly a recommendation. If this were GLO money, which this is not, this is ARPA money, but if this were GLO money, you would have to have that in place for them to give you a clear, compliant procurement policy and procedure. Even though we take, in addition to that, whatever the local level is even more important when it comes to another agency such as the GLO. Not applicable in this situation. However, your local policies and procedures are applicable, and we have to meet the state and local in addition to covering 2 CFR 200. Does that make sense? Is everybody understanding that? Because I can't see anyone, so I'm like shooting in the dark here.
I understand, but I have a question. I think the question, this is Commissioner West, is probably to our auditor. What is more strict? The procurement policies here or our local? I mean, it seems complicated if we have multiple policies, but so we figure out which one's the most restricted, that's what we need to go with.
Yes, sir, and that's the most restrictive is always the best way to go. And that's why we have a checklist that we'll be utilizing to review local procurement policies and procedures. If y'all's already meets or exceeds the 2 CFR 200, you're good.
In many cases, we're going ahead and,
we are on YouTube, so we have to go to the podium so the public can hear and see who's talking.
Sure.
currently, anything over 50,000, we're doing sealed bids for the majority of our supplies that we're going out for our contracts that we're going out for. That local policy is probably more stringent than some that you're gonna see here. So we're definitely going to have to just look at it on a contract by contract basis.
So, what I'm hearing what you said is that parts of our policy may be more restricted, but parts of the federal policy may be more restricted. So we
Yes.
need to adopt both, and then we need to figure out which to follow. Is it, that just seems like we're going down a path where we can make a mistake.
Yes, I agree.
So can't we figure out what's the most restrictive and adopt that?
Well, I think what the auditor is telling us, and just so that everybody understands what we're talking about, we do have a county policy for procurement. And anything over $50,000 has to be submitted to the public, and we receive sealed bids. The proposed policies and procedures that we've been sent from GrantWorks is the standard policy procedure that they use in working with the federal government. Is that right?
That is my understanding.
And then they have the procurement checklist as well.
Yes.
So-
There are certain clauses that must be contained in the contracts that we're not doing locally that will need to be done. So the clauses in the contracts, you're gonna see a difference there also.
And how does this mesh with what we've done on the wastewater project where we have a lot of federal requirements?
We are going out for bids for all of them, we're checking SAM, we are following both and the ones that are more
But
stringent.
I guess, is that a separate policy, basically, or does it fall under one of the two that we already have?
It wouldn't be a separate policy. We've adopted somewhat of these before, is my understanding. There was just a couple of changes that have been made in the last couple of years, I believe. And so this will put us in line with the most current for the FEMA standards, or not FEMA, for the federal standards.
So it sounds like the way we're going to have to do it is have two sets that we're going to have to follow. Our local and plus the federal.
If you adopt this, yes.
Which is what we've done in the past.
Right, I'm just
Yes,
trying
we
to figure
have
out,
done it in the
Is
past.
there a way to have one policy that would be really nice?
It will
That is-
take a while to get there, I'm sure there is, but it will take a while to research all of it and see what the differences are.
And if you adopt these standards, it will only apply to the ARPA
Right.
funds.
But it'll only apply to ARPA funds, but we still have to look at our local if they're more restricted. So we'll have to go through both.
If you
Yeah.
adopt them.
Okay.
Which is what we've always done.
Right, I'm just,
Okay.
well, we haven't had that, we haven't really done federal grants like this, I don't believe.
Well, again,
Yeah.
not the parse words.
Yeah.
These are funds,
Okay.
not grants.
Okay.
So we're kind of in uncharted waters that we're trying to get right. As I understand it, GrantWorks has recommended their standard policies and procedures that you use on a regular basis, that you use with our East Kirk County wastewater line, and that you're very familiar with. And you have, if I understand correctly, you have worked with us with regard to our more restrictive requirements on a few things. And so we have to kind of pay attention to where we need to apply our more restrictive standard, because that's what we're trying to do, right?
Yes.
I don't know that we adopted this on the wastewater project, because those were through the state. We adopted, and there was federal requirements in the state. That's a minor detail. I understand what you're saying, Judge, and I agree.
But I want to make sure the public understands. What we're really concerned about here is that we do it right. If we do it right, then it's going to be a win-win for everyone. There's a clawback provision in the ARPA funds. And that is that if we don't do it right, the federal government's going to claw back and take that money back from us, which means we're going to have to pay it back to the federal government. I don't want to do that. I like hitting my golf ball right down the middle of the fairway, which I cannot do personally. I want to put it right in the middle. I don't want to get out close to the edges here. And so we know that the proposed procurement policies and procedures that GrantWorks uses on a day in and day out basis, we know that works, right? I like that. We also know that we have our own procurement policies, which are a little bit more restricted, that we're going to have to use in order to comply with the county policies. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that means we don't have one set of papers that we go to and say, this is the Bible. We're gonna have to go to our policies as well as the proposed policies and the procurement policies and procedures proposed by GrantWorks, which they use day in and day out in administering grants. And we're gonna use the same standard with regard to these funds.
I have one more question I get to Chief Miranda. And I'm assuming then that if we were to enter into an agreement or choose to spend some of the funds with a nonprofit or any non-county entity, that entity will also have to follow these exact procurement policy. Is that correct?
For federal funding, that would be the most advisable. When it's passing through, it's all being the hub and it's passing through your entity, those federal streams are attached to that fund all the way through till it just dies. In other words, yes, I would advise that. However, I would suggest that you have your county attorney review it just the same.
Yes, and I think I can add to that. My name is Jo Carroll. It's JoCarroll. If the court chooses to select a subrecipient, you don't actually have to use procurement per se. You can write a policy on your selection. I think she is very familiar with that kind of process. But when it comes to, once you grant those funds to that subrecipient, they do have to follow the federal procurement policies themselves.
That's the string that follows all the way through, right?
Yes.
And the accountability, 30,000 years.
And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm familiar with this with the East Kirk County policy. This is really for the public, I guess everyone in the room knows this. That means that you have to work with minority businesses, have special provisions for minority businesses, special provisions for women businesses, labor surplus and firms in the area. There's a lot of requirements about the type of companies that you can use. And I'm sure there's all kinds of labor certifications that also have to be followed, that will have to be submitted back to the county, and then the county will then submit it back to in our records. But I mean, it's going to be very cumbersome for the county and for anyone that we choose to work with on these funds. It's a lot of hoops.
Which is one of the reasons that we hired GrantWorks, because they're the hoop jumper.
Right. But I just want to make it clear to the public that if any nonprofit chooses to apply, there's a lot of stipulations that they're going to have to follow.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carroll. Okay, any other discussion about procurement policies and procedures checklist?
I gather by this conversation that GrantWorks is who does all that matching to make sure we're in compliance.
Yes.
Okay.
And the way I envision this, and this is just one person's perspective, is as we receive applications, and whatever pre-application processes we have, that as we receive applications, they're going straight to GrantWorks. GrantWorks is going to go through and make sure that we jump through every hoop, that we follow this thread, the tie, all the way through. As they review it and send it back to us to make the decisions as to which ones are going to be granted or not. But then, once we make the determination of who's going to get the funds, we still give it back to GrantWorks because they're the ones that follows that thread all the way to the end with the federal government to make sure that we've dotted our I's and crossed our T's and we're not exposed to any clawback. Are all on the same page?
So far.
Okay. So, and we'll take this up as an action item when we get to the regular court agenda. But what we're trying to do is let the public know that we are following the recommendation of our grant administrator, GrantWorks, with regard to these policies and procedures in trying to do this. And it's a little bit more complicated than we're used to doing, but it's something that we have to do to minimize any liability exposure that we have. Anything else that we can do on this one, Miranda?
No, sir, Judge, I think you're on the right track, and I know Joe and Lori will take great care of you.
We always have. We've always been very pleased with your services.
Thanks so much. I appreciate y'all.
Okay. So we'll move on to, let's go back and kind of start at the top of our workshop. The discussions will include, but not be limited to, the introduction, which we've already done, procurement documents. Is there anything we need to already talk about on procurement documents? Rosa? Okay. Rosa, I know you have some remarks that you're going to present to us. Is this the appropriate time?
Just go ahead and when you get to me, then I'll be there, I guess.
Which one is you, though?
I think about the last 5
The last 5?
or 6, I don't know. Just, you want me to take it over now?
Yes, if you would.
See, I got that feeling. Well, I want you to remind you that this is my 11th day working on this project. So I don't want to apologize because I really don't feel like I need an apology, but so that we kind of know a little more than what we knew Monday. So hopefully by the time we get through today, you guys will be able to approve most of this stuff. Environmental review is the next one, and I guess that's a part of the program, is if any of the projects involve anything that will require an environmental review, that will have to be done before the funding is done. Is that a good way to put it?
Correct.
Good, okay. And then reporting, of course.
Question on that, and
Oh,
what
go
we're
ahead.
talking about there
Yeah.
is if someone's doing something on property, building something on a piece of real estate, that's what we're talking about, correct?
Yes. Right, if it was in the floodplain or, you know, whatever, if it's an endangered species were involved or something like that, I doubt we'll see anything like that, but be known that it's in the rules. Okay, and then reporting, we'll have to, as we just talked about, be sure that all the reporting guidelines are followed, and both at the county level, and GrantWorks is going to help us with that, so that we keep everything in line as we go along, because this is a lot of money, and we don't want to mess up and end up having to pay back money because we did not follow the right guidelines. And then project list, I think the other day we gave you copies of categories of spending, that appendix 1, the one that we ran off that has stuff on both sides, that are things that are possibles that counties can look at and cities can look at. And we identified several that we thought were probably in the area that we'd want to look at already. And clean water and infrastructure issues and small business economic assistance if anybody applies for that. Public health expenses with our medical providers, communications, law enforcement, and then prevention in congregate settings like nursing homes or prisons, jails. We don't have any prisons, but we do have a jail. And dense workplaces, which I am not aware of anything like that. And the school district and the city got separate funds out of this. And so the schools have already addressed, I believe, all of the issues in Kerrville Public Schools, and I'm sure the outlying school districts have too, because we haven't heard anything about or from anyone about that. And what else was I gonna say? Oh, I think that covers that. I don't know of any dense work sites that in this community.
Well, and I don't mean to interrupt, but one thing I think is important for all of us to remember is that there are 5 basic categories.
Right.
And 4 of those 5 require that it must be related to COVID.
COVID-19,
And
exactly.
the only one that does not is the infrastructure.
And the infrastructure is only clean water and communications, no.
No, broadband.
Broadband. Yeah. So anything outside of infrastructure is going to have to meet a COVID-19 requirement too. Okay, we talked the other day briefly, and I updated, and you should have the intent to submit form. So let's talk about this first. With a lot of federal grants, with our indigent defense grant, with energy grants that I applied for when I was working for the county, the first step with it is you go to a workshop. You hear about what's going to happen, how you deal with whatever topic you want to submit a form for. And then most of them require an intent to submit. It's the same thing as a request for an RFP, a request for application or RFA. So this is a short form of that. And what this will do for us is give us an idea of who is interested in applying, kind of what they want to do with it, and an estimated cost. And we talked the other day, we really only have about $5 million. We have $5.1 million to distribute in this first half of the ARPA program. So if we get somebody in this group that wants $5 million, that's going to be a problem. But we need to look at the big picture, and we can get this in, and then we need to look at it, and I'm an old economics teacher, so let me make this statement. In any kind of funding, you need to look at must-haves, should-haves, and like to haves. And I think that's the three categories that we need to, in our mind, think about as we're looking at these applications. There are some things that we must have in a community. We all need water, we all need food, we all need shelter, we all need to feel safe in our homes and in our community, and we need clothing. Not too many of these things will ARPA be interested in buying for us. And so in that same economic statement is clean water and your law enforcement and your hospital and those kinds of facilities. That's just the old economic statement. This, we're gonna take to the workshop next Thursday and tell people if they feel comfortable filling it out, fill it out right now and put it in a box. We can get started with these. Otherwise, if you need more time, you need to go back and talk to your people, whatever, we're gonna ask that these are sent in by December 31st. Gives them through the holidays to think about what they want to do. My initial idea with this was to do it quicker, but after visiting with y'all on Monday, we decided maybe we need to kind of slow down a little. I was already in third gear when y'all were in first gear. So these will be due by, and let me say one other thing. Everything has to come in through the website. No paper. So everything will be submitted electronically to the website. And then all of the information will come back to you through the website. So if you give me one of these Thursday, I'm gonna log on and I'm gonna say thank you for submitting your intent to submit. That way you know we have it and you can relax and not worry about being left out. When you get around to filling out the application, this also will be posted on the website. I did a cover page for it, for the instructions, and these again will have to be submitted to the website. And once we get these, after GrantWorks has kind of blessed the intent to submit, then you fill this out and you submit it. And once you submit the application, then you'll get an email back that says, we got your application, we are in process of carrying through the process that the Commissioners Court has adopted, be patient with us. Or it could say that, plus, you might want to submit additional backup documents to support your grant application. And we'll specify in that email what else we need, okay? And this one, look, we didn't put a date on it, did we?
No, because we didn't know how long the turnaround.
Yeah, because we don't know how long it's going to take for them to fill this out. So this will be, if you get it, you've got it, and you submit it, and we'll submit back, and then it'll go to GrantWorks to be looked at. Just, they're going to look at it to be sure it meets ARPA funding requirements. My 3-ring notebook, sorry. Okay, and then the criteria that we will use to judge the applications is on this 2-page pass out here. This again will be on the website. So you'll be able to go on the website and look at how these applications are going to be graded. Now, we took the potential points off of it because we haven't made the judgment of what points we want to use with each one. ARPA has a recommendation, but I think we have the right to use that or not use that number. And so that'll be something we don't have to decide today. But this will also be on the website for you to download, and you'll see how it's judged. And you may look at this and say, I don't think my project's gonna. So it'll be on there. We're gonna try to get it on this afternoon, and so people can look at it.
And that'll be scored by GrantWorks.
And that these all of those documents except the letter to intent we got from GrantWorks. Lori was so good last week. you know, after all of this started, she said, "Oh, I'll send you everything," and it was wonderful.
And she did.
Yeah, she did, and I didn't have to create any documents. Huh?
I couldn't keep up to it.
Oh,
GrantWorks will not be scoring that. GrantWorks will make sure that they've met all the criteria, and then a committee chosen by the court.
Okay,
will
yes,
score.
exactly.
non-elected.
Not-
And later today, we're gonna,
None of the 5 of you.
later today, then we'll talk about the budget. The community survey. I got the impression you didn't want to use SurveyMonkey. So we're gonna use this community survey next Thursday in the workshop. So everybody comes to the workshop, will be able to fill this out next Thursday. Or you can download it off the website, complete it, scan it, and send it back to the website. Or if you're technical like I am, you can make a copy of it, circle your answers, and put it in the mail to us. And that's as simple as we can get it. But we need to have these postmarked by November 12th, so that on November 22nd, when we come back to Commissioners Court, we'll have the results of the community survey. And one of the things that the ARPA funds speak to is that you really should let your community have input. We may not agree with all the things you want to do, but we would like for you to have at least the input so that we get a little guidance out of it. Okay, and then that list. And then these are the allowable projects. This list, we probably are not going to put this on the website. She's shaking her head.
Yeah.
You know, well, I mean, we can look at this as we look at the applications later, but it's not something that's on the website. And let me look at the list and see. We have finished a PowerPoint presentation to use next Thursday night. I was working on it Monday, and we got together Tuesday and completed what we got. It does have the rest of the deadlines and some more information on it, and so this will be available at next Thursday's web workshop.
And they'll be in the afternoon.
And this will also be posted, yes, this will also be posted on the county website. We may wait on this one until after the workshop next Thursday to
But back
post.
in my helicopter go up about 10,000 feet. Basically, what the procedure's gonna do is we're gonna have workshops. We invite everybody to come. In that workshop, there is gonna be some community input, a community survey, as to the items that you recommending to the county to fund, types of projects that you want us to fund. And all that's gonna take place next week. And then after that, you got until the end of the year to do your RFA, your request for application, which would probably be intent to submit an application. You can call it whatever you want, but it's basically just your intent that you're gonna put together a comprehensive application at some point. But this is to send to GrantWorks. What this RFA, this intent to submit, is gonna do, it goes to GrantWorks to be screened. Does it qualify or not? If it doesn't qualify, then we can't consider it. If it qualifies, it comes back to us. They all come back to us, but the ones that qualify come back to us. And those are gonna be scored. And there's a criteria by which we got, that you'll be provided, as to how we score it. Now, when I say we, I'm not talking about this court. Not a single one of us that sit here that will make the ultimate decision score these applications. They're all scored by Rosa, who we brought back in to help us with this. Is gonna be head of it, and Jody Grinstead, our court coordinator. And there'll probably be at least another person or two,
Right.
depends on what they want. They'll do the scoring.
Be non-elected officials and people who are not involved in any applications for the grant. But we're gonna
No dog in
find,
the fight.
yeah, but Jody and I have both been through grant training, and so we kind of know what to look for. And we'll find somebody else, at least, who's willing to help us with the scoring, so that it'll be nonpartisan, is that a good word? Hopefully, we will look at everyone with the same set of eyes,
And all they do is score.
and all we'll do is
They
score.
said, we think
Right.
this is most important,
Right.
this is the must have.
Right,
Here's the should have, and here's the like to have.
right,
And so they score it, that's what comes to us, the score. is their score, the applications that have been screened, then scored, then they come to us, and then we debate, which projects we think that we want to try to dedicate this money to.
I think it's a terrible process. I'll be blunt. First of all, I don't think the survey that's here at all explains to the public what we're talking about doing.
That's
And
right.
what we could do. The public doesn't understand a lot of the needs we have. They don't understand on that survey that the sheriff's department can't talk to KPD. They don't understand the sheriff can't talk to Kendall and Gillespie County. And there's a lot of others, that's just using that as an example, because that's one that I'm familiar with.
Well, and that was highlighted this last.
Right, and it's highlighted, but
Okay.
how, no, let me finish. So how do we, you know, we're getting all this input from the public, but they don't understand a lot of the things that are out there, and by reading that, communications, I mean, that whole program is listed as other.
Okay, we can at any time have a public town hall to discuss the kinds of things that have been submitted. That's, I mean, we're flexible. We can just schedule a town hall to once we identify the things that people are interested in, we can certainly, or we can do it. You have a public person to do newspaper articles. I suspect there could be.
How many people read the newspaper right here in this community? Very few.
Well, a lot of them read it
let me finish
online.
this. Please let me finish.
Okay.
How many people can get off at 1:30 next Thursday and go to a meeting? I mean, it's, the five of us have been elected to oversee these funds. And I think we should oversee them. We know where the county needs money. I look at it, and I think first thing the court needs to do is set where the priorities should be from our standpoint and let the public be aware of that. I think public safety is number one for me. I don't know the rest of the court views. Maybe they don't think public safety is as important. But to me, we're going out there and getting all this information in that may not be needed, and we're putting a deadline. We don't even know about the second 5.5 or 5.1 million, well, that's going to 5.2 million. And you recommended, and I agree with the recommendation, that we don't even look at that until next summer. To me, you know, we've had the county clerks come in with a very good idea that I hadn't thought of, but I think other county departments probably have ideas too. And I think we should look at funds that are going to save the taxpayers money long-term that are already existing projects that we're looking at. And then all of a sudden, we're setting up a program where all of the grading is done by none of us. And then we're gonna have to select something that may be the last one on the list. And that's gonna, I mean, and everything we do is subject to open records, I presume. So it's gonna look real good to the public when, you know, the scoring committee is not the one voting on it, votes for, you know, who knows what. And I think they'll probably be in line with what the court thinks largely, but it's votes for something that we disagree with, and we go for a different direction. I don't see how that helps us at all.
Lauren.
And I think the first step is good for the court to have a discussion, which I thought we were gonna do today, on what we believe the sources of the funds and types of areas where funds should be used at.
Okay, and so I have one point on that to make. Yes.
Okay, so to that topic, exactly. I was under the impression that there were 9 categories from the expenditure sheet that were chosen.
Not by me.
Okay. then
Okay,
we-
so let's do that
Yeah.
then.
Good.
And that way, instead of using all of this information and opening it up for everyone, you can narrow down the project list. How's that? Would that help?
That would help.
And you would be responsible, you guys, you 5 up there would be responsible for narrowing down the list. Would that work?
Let me ask you a question. Does this funding require the public process that we described this morning?
No. No. I think the funding does not, there's nowhere in the law that says you must have.
So as long as we're transparent
I think that a lot of counties in the United States are opening it up for public discussion because they feel that they want that input. However, they have limited it to the areas for discussion to maybe 4 or 5 out of this sheet. So they may have said, well, we're not interested in 1, 2, or 3, but we are interested in 1.4. So 1.4 becomes an area that we want to look at. So put 1.4 and maybe choose 5 out of this list. So all of your projects that come in will fit under those 5 categories.
Lori, let me tell you what I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
And I know I probably used bad metaphor when I talked about a lot of the water on this, but everybody's lining up to try to get some of this funds. And that's as it should be. I understand that. I'm worried about what is not eligible for these funds, because that's where the clawback exposure is. And we know that anything that's on this list, this front and back list that we're going to give out to the public, we know that qualifies. And GrantWorks can review the request for application, the intent to submit, and come back and tell us thumbs up. This is something we can consider. I'm concerned about the things that don't qualify, what's ineligible. And I don't think, and so I'm asking GrantWorks to help us understand what is not eligible. When I look at the information that y'all provided to us, I've got this U.S. Department of Treasury bulletin. I'm sure you recognize it. Mm-hmm. And on the backside, on the last thing it says is ineligible uses. Mm-hmm. And so for me, and I think for the public, what's most important to know is what is not eligible. If it's not eligible, it might be the greatest thing in the world, but if it's not eligible, then we ought not be considering it for these funds.
If it's not eligible, it wouldn't be on this list.
Well, I know, and so we know what's on that list.
Right.
Okay, but it also says that changes that reduce tax revenue are things. If we spend this money on things that we would ordinarily spend tax revenue on, is that going to be a callback item with the federal government to say, well, that's stuff you normally pay out of your budget?
That's right.
That's what concerns me. If we do that, what happens to us?
Yeah, you pay back.
I don't disagree with that, but I think that we need to go onto this list and look at it and maybe send that to GrantWorks and say, will this project do it before we go off with all this soliciting for all this? I don't do this survey, all that. Okay. Do the public meeting, that's fine. But I think it's this course decision, what's going to help the taxpayer. That's why we're elected. Okay. We have a different view than the rest of y'all.
Why? I suspect you know where you want to spend the money.
I guess what we're saying here.
I think that is something, I don't know, if it's not eligible, no, I don't want to spend the money there, Doug. But I think that a communication system for the sheriff's department is a very high priority. We have been knowing, we've been told this is a problem for years.
I've already publicly said that that's my number one concern with this. Getting the sheriff's department, talking to the police department, volunteer fire departments all on the same wavelength, upgrading everything, get up to the century standard.
My thinking, and I may be wrong, is you cast out the net and see what you get and then bring back the fish that you can eat, or the good things that are in that net. Throughout the turtles and that's a kind of a weird analogy. But by having this community input, you have cast that net. And not everybody's going to agree with us. But it doesn't say because the community said anything, we have to do such and such. It's all going to be up to you guys. Hello, Mr. Ballou.
Hi, it's Lori again. I have one more thing to comment on. And that is that during this workshop, if there is a need for communications from the sheriffs, then they should put in an intent to submit. They become part of this process. And so we'll have their paperwork as well as somebody else's paperwork. And they'll be graded accordingly. sheriff communication is number 1.8 on this list.
Right.
It's a definite yes as far as using it and getting ARP funds.
But this is what I'm trying to get my head around.
Okay,
That's under category number 1, public health,
yeah.
okay? That has to be directly tied to COVID.
Yes, and it can be. It can be. There is information in the rule itself, in the interim rule, that I can cite for you where it says it in there as far as communication. So yeah, you can definitely justify that.
Okay. Because when I look over on number 5, we've got clean water, drinking water, and broadband,
Mm-hmm.
the infrastructure.
Right,
And those are the ones that don't have to be tied
that's
to
correct.
COVID.
That's correct.
But I think the public, I mean, and just make sure I'm understanding what you've been telling us, is that we can spend money on something that's gonna, that was a problem when COVID was here, and we can spend money on something that's gonna improve it in the future, which would be the communication to the sheriff's department. That's why it qualifies, correct?
Well, it qualifies because under the rule, that was part of some of the problems that people faced, is they didn't have a connection with communication between these services. Ambulances weren't talking to the sheriff's department, weren't talking with 911. There wasn't a communication, it was a real lack. So that's why you find it on here. And a lot of counties are doing exactly what you're asking to do. Now again, GrantWorks is not going to tell you how to spend your money. I can just tell you if it's eligible, and in that case, it's eligible.
Well, then it seems, if we're gonna do the survey, and I'm indifferent whether we do the survey or not, but I think we need to be clear as to the types of projects that we're looking at. And I think the form that was in here, and it sounds like the Florida recommended that we go through this and somehow in the next, however long, figure out what categories we wanna ask the public to give us input on. Off of this 2-page list.
Only because it narrows your list.
Yeah.
I think so.
And I think in the workshop next
Thank you.
Thursday, we can, in the course of the presentation, bring in some of these things that you're saying now. We can make that group aware, and by doing it on YouTube, those people will become aware of it, and then using your media to expand the need for it. By the time the deadline for intent to submit comes, or the time for the applications come, I think you're going to narrow it down some just by attrition, because people are going to say, I'd like to have such and such, but it's really more important for the sheriff's office to be able to know where to find me, or the ambulance be able to find me if I'm hurt. I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. I think you could sell that issue quite easily.
And I think when you went out with the public, and the reason I brought up and pointed out the federal requirements on procurement, it is not easy to qualify, to be able to, under these procurements, unless you're almost a governmental entity.
Correct.
I mean, it's, or a really big company. I mean, and I'm very familiar with those because of the East Curve project. And I see the certifications that come in every pay request of that. You certify where the materials were purchased and all the other stuff, and that's gonna be required here. To me, the first, most important thing to me is really to go to the other county, all county departments, and let them fill out applications. And I'm not going to the public, but I think it's gonna be really difficult, and I don't see that happening. Because I think we need to take care of the county departments first, with helping all tax payers. And that's, to me, the first step. And I think that there is a real good, where I look forward to GrantWorks' help. Because I think that the county clerk's request, or idea for improving the way we keep all our records, retention and all that. That doesn't qualify, but it's a good idea. So, to me, this is kind of focused on the county first.
So along that thought line, I was going to maybe offer this thought. We've seen some counties that take their budget and they set aside a certain portion of that to where, because to your point, that, you know, who best in your county to know exactly what your internal needs are other than the commissioner's court? And they set aside a certain amount that they know, maybe the sheriff's department communications, if there's a drainage project, if there's water issues, water lines that need to be repaired, whatever the actual needs are, they take care of those needs, and then they're only allocating a certain amount, okay, maybe a few $1 million that they're willing to distribute to outside organizations that address the type of services that counties don't provide. You know, counties don't typically provide services directly for businesses or for households that need help with rent or with food or medical care, and those services are typically provided by you know, nonprofit organizations. So some counties are taking care of the issues that they know their county needs, then they're setting aside a certain amount of their award to cover the other types of services that the county doesn't provide itself. Just another thought about
I
this.
think as long as the public is very much aware that the likelihood of getting funded is pretty small, almost. First, out of the first 5 million, 5.2 million, negligible. If they want to submit an application, fine. Now, we get the rest of the second 5.2 million, maybe they'll open up.
The survey could play kind of two roles in this. We can make clear the first half of it. It also will give us an indication of who's interested in the second part of it. The other thing it's going to do is something this community probably needs to do, and that's to look at the global needs of others and others who identify things. There may be other grant streams that we can look at to suggest to them that they apply through that grant stream. Because there are grants out there that are not federal grants. We have some great foundations in Texas that help particularly nonprofits. And so what we could do with this is identify the needs of a broader spectrum of people in the community or organizations in the community. And then I don't think anybody's going to be mad at us for surveying them or asking their opinion on things. And it makes us look a lot more transparent, and I just think it would be good
They're not
image.
angry about the question, they're angry when they don't get what they ask for.
Well,
That's how that works.
So I want to make sure the grant work, we've got grant work here today, understands my concern. I can't speak to what the legislative intent was when Congress passed this act, the ARPA Act. But I can read the materials that they put out to us. And when I look at these, and I read off these categories, the public health, negative economic impact, I know Jack's here to talk to us about that. We've got services to disproportionately impacted communities. We've got premium pay for our essential workers. And then we've got infrastructure. And the only one that's not tied to COVID is the infrastructure. It's pretty clear to me that Congress somehow intended for us to use these funds for more than just supplementing the county's needs.
Yes.
This is just not about, the county gets the money, so we're going to pay what needs to be done on county money. Because I don't want a callback. And so I'm expressing my concern now, don't let us go down the wrong path. If we do this, are we going to be criticized for it? And I can tell you, if we don't listen to all the public's needs, I think that's going to subject us to criticism, because we're not being transparent and open to hear the needs of the community, regardless of what the final decisions may be. To exclude, listen to the needs of the community, I think would be remiss.
But every time we need to listen to the needs of the community. I mean, this is the second meeting we've had, we're going to do a workshop, we're going to have a lot more, so I mean, I think we're pretty transparent. I've no problem with the survey, I just want the expectation to be real, that the likelihood of getting the funds is pretty small in my opinion, and the requirements, if you do get some, are going to be pretty onerous. And that's fact, you know, because that's the way the federal government works on these programs. I mean, the requirements is tough. And you know, I don't mind doing that. And I'm looking, keep on going back to the infrastructure thing. Well, we don't do water, so that knocks off 2/3 of the list, so that leaves broadband. in my opinion, broadband is not our responsibility.
You know, Henry Ford said, you famously, you can have a car in any color you want as long as it's black. I think that this money, as long as you remember it goes for the COVID relief, you're okay. We're drifting away from that. So you gotta stay focused. If we stay focused, we're all right. If we don't, then we have a problem. This is what I was worried about. We have this wish list out there, this Christmas list, and everybody lines up to get their Christmas trees, and that is not what this is. I don't even think, sir?
False expectations.
Yeah. I don't even want the county to take the money for fear that they're gonna claw some of it back, the way the judge was talking about. So we need to stay really focused on this, laser beam focused, and make sure we don't screw it up.
That's what we got
That's
grants.
why Grant Works is, that's why we got here helping us.
Yeah.
But now,
Okay.
she just said a moment ago, she's there to make sure it's all legal, not to guide our request in any way, shape, or form.
We'll send the request that we get to them to be screened.
Right.
And nothing else comes up, comes down.
Okay, if you'll get out this Appendix 1, expenditure categories, these people over here don't have a copy of it. So I'm going to just go through here and we'll look at the things that are under public health, one at a time, and see if we can come to some agreement on that. And if we need to, we can readjust our PowerPoint or whatever you guys would like to do, okay?
Should we like, when you get these ones, should we raise our hands, yes or no?
Sure, that would work great.
Quick.
Okay, under public health, there's actually 11 objectives that we can look at. The first 3 all have to do with vaccination, testing, and contact tracing. I think probably Peterson Health and Dove Thomas probably have those things under control. And with the numbers going down, I would think that probably would be something that we could agree to pass on. So do any of you think we ought to do COVID-19 vaccinations, testing, or contact tracing? No votes.
We agree.
Okay, we're good.
Good start.
Number 1, guys, we're good. Okay, number 1.4 is prevention in congregate settings. That would be nursing homes, jails, dense work sites, schools, etc. We know the schools have already addressed their issues with their funding.
I'm concerned about the jail, I'm concerned about nursing.
Right. The nursing homes took a big hit with COVID.
Concerned about that.
The Delta variant has come and almost gone. I think we can agree, if we keep up with the news, that we have done well with that, and in the jail too. Is that correct? But we don't know when Delta Plus shows up in 3 weeks if that's going to be true. So how do we feel on 1.4?
Jail, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
The nursing homes and those are private.
Okay, so we'll just put the jail on there? Okay.
Those ones, nursing homes.
Well, you really got privacy because it's private.
Yeah, the nursing homes are all privately owned.
Consider the private needs out there,
Yeah.
not just the county needs. So I think, I don't want to make an arbitrary exclusion and get in trouble. My Grant Works people out there.
I don't mind nursing homes, I mean.
I don't think we should do that. For a number of reasons, I don't think we should do it. Private enterprise, we don't know what kind of operation they have, we don't know if they had a grant already and squandered it. I don't want to get involved in that. Let's take care of the needs of the county.
Okay. We will specify jail. Okay, number 5 is personal protective equipment, PPE, and that was a separate grant that the federal government did, and I'm not aware, of course I don't keep up with it, I'm not in the medical field, but I'm not aware of any issues here with that. If anybody else could speak to that, you're welcome to.
Is that intended to be like or purchasing or improving?
Purchasing, like if we wanted to purchase ventilators in case we need them down the road, or we want to buy more masks or clothing or shoes or masks, then I don't think that's been an issue in this community with any of the medical facilities. I think all of that was covered under it. Okay.
Wait a minute. Sheriff, how's that taken care of at the jail?
Right now, we've got plenty stored up on masks and all kind of hand sanitizer, so we're in good shape.
Okay.
Hopefully you won't need it.
Yes, hopefully.
Okay, so we're gonna knock that one off. Agreed? Nobody wanna raise your hand on that one? Okay, 1.6, medical expenses including alternate care facilities.
What does it mean?
Well, I would think it would mean like
Hey, nurses, if
nursing homes again, or
What about inmates at the jail?
Raphael Clinic.
Inmates at the jail, is it, that's a direct COVID-related unexpected cost.
Correct. I mean, yes, we could go that direction. We got through this pretty good. I mean, we had bills, but, you know, we want to set aside, of course, we can't predict what's going to happen in the future with the bills.
But the word, alternative is not, we need a definition of what that's supposed to mean.
What are they talking about with alternative?
I would say
You
they're
don't know?
talking about like youth facilities, you know, something that is not.
Halfway houses?
That is not, yeah, something
Yeah.
that's not a nursing home, a prison, a jail,
Yeah.
or a school.
Isn't that emergency hospitals?
It could be, any kind
You're
of
talking
setup.
about a triage setup?
Well, yeah, like in San Antonio, you have all these little standalone emergency things. Most of them are privately owned.
So that is not a present need. The money is there, and we could come back to that at some point. And
Okay.
Since it's on the list, we can use it at any time.
Okay.
All I
If
was,
need be.
we had that conversation with Peterson, and when they had that severe nurse shortage. And I don't know if they're gonna want to submit an application or not. I don't know that we would agree to
Right.
fund it. But they certainly have had extraordinary expenses. There's no question about that.
Believe it.
Okay, well, I'll just put a question mark by that one. We can go back to
Leave it
it.
on there, I think.
Okay.
We're in
Oh,
agreement.
you want to leave it on? Okay, I'll let you think about to leave medical facilities on there. One? Okay, we'll put a question mark by it. Okay, 1.7, capital investments for physical plant changes for public facilities that respond to the COVID-19 public health emergency.
We've already done that.
Guidance?
I'm not aware of any pending
Well,
things like
And
that.
I don't think this is not ultra high on my list, I think
Okay.
it's possible. But, well, no, not, as an example, are we talking about the Hookham Youth Event Center, improving the ventilation or electrical in the
Yes.
one room? That's the kind of thing it could be,
Only because it's an evacuation center,
right?
potential evacuation center.
Yeah,
Or
emergency
school.
operations center.
Yeah.
So, it could, it's just, it could be, I suspect there's not enough money,
Not to do something like that.
but I mean, but I could say on the list.
Well, the other thing, let's take a hypothetical. The Methodist Church provided a place for people to come and get their shots for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Could they come and make a grant application for their staff and their utilities costs during that time?
Well, this is capital investment in physical things, so there's other categories for that,
Yeah.
but this would be for more, you know.
Right.
Okay, so we're
Now-
leaving that one in?
But a question on that is, what about internal communications in the courthouse? Does that come under that category?
No, keep going.
Okay,
That's 1.8.
that's 1.82.
Okay.
This could be an expansion to the courthouse so that you could have more separation with your staff. We've seen some counties adding on to their facilities,
We're doing that.
physical. Okay.
So I can leave the category in.
Okay, we're leaving that one in.
Okay.
That's a good one. Okay. All right, 1.8, other COVID-19 public health expenses, including communications, enforcement, isolation, and quarantine. And we put in there IT. That was the one where we put the IT
We put IT and emergency services.
and emergency services in that category.
And we all,
Is that good? And we all know that one's
Good on
good.
that thing.
Okay, 1 point, do we need to vote on that one?
No.
Okay, we're good with that one. All right, 1.9, payroll costs for public health, safety, and other public sector staff responding to COVID-19.
I think we've done
We've
that.
done it. It's already been done.
Okay, all right, so that's an X. Okay, mental health services. Anybody think we ought to open it for mental health services? We have a lot of that kind of stuff in the community that's already funded under a lot of state and federal monies.
I sit on the MHDD board, and mental health has definitely been affected.
Oh, yeah.
Mental health has
Oh, yeah.
definitely been affected. But that's an MHDD issue. If the MHDD wants to submit an application, I have no objection to that, but at the same time, that's not really within our purview.
Our scope. Anybody want me to leave that one on there? No. Okay, 1.11 is substance use services. Anybody want to be,
Same category, kind of.
let's take a vote.
Well,
Okay,
the one thing that might qualify for that is we do have our veterans court. Our alternate court, there's a lot of substance use in that.
That is drug court, not veterans court.
That's right.
But that's an ongoing program.
Right.
So that's too vague to get a connection there.
Okay. And 12 is,
okay. All right, the next category, is other, and we put other on there just in case somebody, had something that we didn't think about. And when you put other on there, there's nothing that ties you to agreeing to it. It just gets you, again, another, and there may be some idea out there that we haven't thought about.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, that takes care of the first category, and that's public health. The second category is negative economic impacts. 2.1 is household assistance food programs.
We already have those.
And we have a food bank, and we have the Methodist Church has a program where they work with the San Antonio food. So I did not think that is that agreeable with y'all, that that's not something we want to get involved in? Household assistance for rent, mortgage, and utility aid. Again,
Already getting that.
yeah, that's a no. Okay, household assistance, cash transfers. Some places, they just wrote people checks.
Right. So what is this?
Some of the places that have received ARPA funds, I saw one on the news the other night, where they just gave everybody $1,500.
Yeah.
Don't think we want to do that?
No.
No. Okay, household assistance internet access programs.
No.
No, okay. Household assistance eviction prevention. Of course, that's one that the larger cities have used funds for, to keep people from getting evicted from their apartments and stuff. But I don't think that's been much of an issue here either.
no.
Is that a no?
No.
Okay, unemployment benefits or cash assistance to unemployed workers.
Well, I think
They've gotten that already.
Anybody vote for that? No. Okay. 2.7, job training assistance. That's sectional job training, subsidized employment, employment supports, or incentives. Anybody? No. Okay, 2.8, contributions to UI trust funds. Laura, you're going to have to help me with that one, because I don't even know what that is.
I think that's part of the unemployed.
Unemployment part of it? Okay.
I'm not sure either.
I don't know.
Unemployment income?
We don't know what it is, we don't want to do it.
Okay. Good point. Okay, 2.9 is small business economic assistance general. Anybody think that's something we want to look at? No. Okay, 2.10, aid to nonprofit organizations. We have a lot of them in town.
I think we'll leave it
I
open.
think,
Okay.
yeah, I think they should be able to apply.
Okay. And, you know, for nonprofit situation, let's hypothetically say, and this is kind of a crude way to put it, but let's say that from the first group of applications, we can award $4.85 million. So that leaves us with 15, and one of these nonprofits says, I need 15,000 for such and such. So you've got that money available, because we don't know how this is all gonna add up. And there may be some small amounts that could be available.
You could just give, you could agree to give a certain amount of money away to each of them that apply. Like, I don't know, $5,000.
Well, we have like 120-something nonprofits that are here.
So they have to demonstrate how this is
Right.
connected
To
this
COVID-19, right.
So you may only have 3 that come back that.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, 2.11, we agreed to leave that one in. Okay, 2.11, add to tourism, aid, I don't have my glasses. Aid to tourism, travel, and hospitality. Now, we have a lot of different organizations in town that work with them. Okay, aid to other impacted industries. No.
Too vague.
Okay, too vague. Okay, other economic support, even more vague. Okay, and then rehiring public sector staff. That would be the people that lost their jobs as a result of COVID-19.
There's jobs everywhere.
It's public sector.
Public sector.
Anybody else I'm aware of.
No, I'm not aware of any either. Okay, that took care of category 2, negative economic impacts. And I'll go back and review all of these for the people that don't have copies of these when we get through. Okay, section number 3 is services to disproportionately impacted communities. Okay, first one is education assistance in early learning.
Rosa, I'm gonna stop there. Those first 5 are all education assistants,
Yes,
and I'm looking to get the money that was given to.
yeah, are we agreeable to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right off? Okay. Okay, and then 5.6 is healthy childhood environments. This would be child care. Anybody interested? No. 3.6, right at the bottom. Okay, 3.7 is healthy childhood environments, home visiting. No. 3.8, healthy child environment services to foster youth or families involved in the child welfare system. No. Now, the county already does some funding with that, and just regular funds. Okay. 3.9, healthy childhood environment. Just interrupt me if I read one and you're ready to vote for it. I'll make it quicker. 3.10, housing support, affordable housing. That would be organizations like Habitat for Humanity and things like that. Anybody interested in that? No. Okay, housing support services for unhoused persons. Unhoused persons is homeless. And we have shelters here, so anybody interested in that? No. 3.12, housing support, other housing assistance. I don't know of anything that we could do there. 3.13, social detriments of health. Determinants. Thank you.
I'm not interested in social determinants.
Okay, you're not, okay. So can I just mark off 13, 14, 15, and 16 then?
The only one, well, I think we're covered under nonprofit.
Okay. All right, then the next section is premium pay.
And I think we've done that.
And you've already done that. Private sector grants to other employers is 4.2. Are we interested in any private sector grants? Okay, then we get to infrastructure. Now, infrastructure is the only category that doesn't have to tie back to COVID-19. Okay? 5.1 is clean water. And that's, the clean water is a centralized wastewater treatment. And I think we have just about addressed that with the East Kerr County, the Kerrville South, and the Ingram wastewater projects that are, 2 of them are close to completion and 1 of them we're still working on, if my memory is correct. Is that right?
I think the first 5 probably are all.
Okay, we can knock off all of. Okay, well, I know that Headwaters was interested in drilling another well into the Ellenberger.
They're a taxing entity.
They're a taxing entity,
Underwater conservation?
under clean water.
Water
Looking,
water conservation, or what category would that go under? Do you know?
Well, they're taxing entity.
I think that takes care of itself.
okay,
We can't give to a taxing entity?
Well, we shouldn't. Why should we give to a taxing entity that has to budget their money?
He said, well, they didn't get these funds, though.
I know that.
Yeah.
see, it would fall under 5.8 water conservation, I guess.
For our rules.
Sure.
I'd like to leave.
Back over here.
I have one statement on that. If you're talking about giving it to a SUD, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Or a government entity, but not somebody who received money, correct?
Yeah.
That would go under 7.3.
Okay, so that's.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the industry, okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
And then all the clean water
Okay, so all the clean water we're zapping,
and all the drinking water.
and all the drinking water.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
got
'cause-
5.6 is storm.
Okay, now we're down to,
But, well, stormwater, that's one, we may have something
Yeah,
else.
we did.
Good.
Stormwater.
okay, stormwater,
Thinking around this.
is that 5.6?
Right.
You wanna leave that in?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then zap the drinking water, is that what you said?
We don't have any.
We don't have any issues with drinking water. The only thing I thought of was if somebody's well has failed as a result of some, is that,
Drinking water is part of a public water system, and you guys are not a public water system.
well, we have a lot of people in the county that have private wells.
Yeah, but that's not what this is.
Okay, all right, good, good. Okay, and then broadband, we have a lot of providers. I think most of your electric company, your telephone companies, your telephone companies are either already using broadband or broadband under development. The problem is out in some of the areas of the county, there is no broadband, and when kids are going to school on virtual learning and they don't have
I
internet.
think it should be done,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not sure this is a high priority for the use of these funds.
No, but
But I'll make it on the list.
I'd like to leave it on the list.
Yeah, I like that last mile part of it, where a family here's the receiver, but it's not at their house.
We've got a lot of privately owned, and even public utility communications companies provided by. Now we've got utilities, LCRA, and Air Electric are also providing it. The only thing that I would be interested in looking at is if you get the last mile, get whatever their transmission line or communication line is to the home.
Leave it on the list.
The last mile part,
Yeah,
I live in one of those areas,
so do I.
and it's all around me, but not where I am. And I don't want to spend money on that.
connect.
I think, I mean,
I'm in the communication business, I have to deal with it, but I don't think we should spend money on it.
I'm indifferent. It needs to be done, but
Okay,
no.
okay, broadband other projects then we can mark off. And then category 6 is revenue replacement, and that's the provision of government services.
And Dave's working on
It's
it.
lost revenue.
Lost revenue. If as a result of, does this one have to be COVID-19 related?
Well,
Yeah,
it is,
it has to
because
be.
it looks at,
Yeah.
it looks at your budget for 2019 and 2020 and looks at the lost revenue.
If you lost tax revenue during that time, no, not just tax,
Revenue, any revenue.
any revenue,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, any.
Or
And
any,
it allows you to pay yourself back.
So you mean like filing fees and everything, that kind of
Yes.
stuff?
Correct, yeah. But it has to be overall, so we're working on these calculations.
Oh, boy, take that on.
That's,
That's, you get one free.
6.1.
Okay, 6.1, yes or no?
Is that something that needs to be on this?
No.
Because, no, it doesn't.
Okay.
That's governmental.
Okay, all right.
Look, if we wouldn't have to apply for anything, this money is in our bank account. So,
You'd apply for yourself? No?
no, you just,
We gotta justify
We're
it.
sort of saying that we have them-
Yeah, you'll have to justify it, so you're gonna have to go through the
It
process.
fits, just make sure.
I mean, it doesn't go on the survey.
Right.
okay.
Okay.
I just, it's an odd way to do it.
Yeah,
Tell them what you're spending the money
come
on.
back over here.
Okay, so just quickly on that, it does not go on your survey. This is done internally with the auditor.
Yeah, okay.
And the money that, if there is a loss, some people don't experience a loss between 19 and 20, but if there is, it can go back in and to be used for anything. It does not have to be on this list, that money. So let's say, let's just make it up and say $2 million was lost.
Let's look at 100,000.
100,000.
Yeah, let's look at 100,000. Let's just say it's 100,000.
$100,000 lost, then you can use that towards any expense.
And that's where Jackie's ideal would come in, that it would be, you could be used for something like that. Other needs that are identified, just as an example.
Well, how, if we're doing the survey, how do we put on here, like on other government, how do we make it clear to the public or other entities that they can apply, what category they apply under? And otherwise, that's, I mean, as an example, and I have no idea, but say up here there's some stuff under clean water of, pollution or something, a non-point source pollution or something. UGRA may have some idea that they haven't been able to do, and they want to submit that. But that would go under other government entities, depending on other governments, but how would they know to submit a project?
Well, why not have the list that you're looking at following the survey? No?
We can add it to the survey. That's our good examples underneath the,
I think, I mean, something on those, you know,
We could, have that list, but the ones we're narrowing it down to would be the ones that we see as Commissioner's Court as priorities.
right. Well, we can also just, maybe just do the survey and in the county, obviously, I mean, all the elected officials probably has to know what we're looking at. And then any governmental entities would be, that I can consider just city hurdle, understand the process, and the UGRA and, headwaters. And if they want to submit a project, they're free to.
And under what category?
it would be under 7.3.
Be under other government,
Well, other governmental entities can also include the ESDs.
right, or yes,
Yeah.
But again, that's for everybody, and that's for the greater good, and it's for clean water, and it's for emergency services, and all of that doesn't tie to the virus.
And since he brought up ESD, Jack's here, and he might have something we're not even on our radar that they might.
I guarantee you Jack has something.
If it's-
If I don't buzz first.
If it's not on the survey, wouldn't it just be on the intent to submit? You know what I'm saying?
well, who, I mean.
Like if it's not on the survey, then this will be.
Okay, so does this fit under the category? I'm not trying to dismiss your question, I'm trying to get it framed in my mind before we proceed with that. Does this fit in the category that does not have to relate to COVID-19?
Administrative?
What, I'm sorry, the 6 or
Money
7?
provided for UGRA or one of these others that are taxing entities or ESDs?
No,
Is that-
the administrative category, 7, 1, 2, 3, and 4, does not have to tie back to COVID.
Oh, it does not.
It
That's
does
general
It does
public
not.
health, then, basically. I gotta figure out where that fits in this. in my mind, so I can follow along with the whole thing. Because general public health, it seems to be that that's a category, and then COVID-19 to protect the health of people specifically from that, or to mitigate that. That seems to be, it looks like we're dealing with two categories here.
Correct.
Okay.
But you mentioned before that we wanted to give headwaters money to drill a well if you wanted to transfer it to the government. But wouldn't we have to say that somebody out of that well qualifies under the COVID? I mean,
That's what I would.
No,
yeah,
Public health in
I
general.
mean, if we transfer it to another
Headwaters
government,
is the underground
we have
water
to go
district.
back up and find another category that it goes to.
Would.
Right, yeah.
So if all these water things pertain to us providing water, which we don't, and that's what you said, I thought I heard you say earlier, maybe you did or didn't, then that would disqualify using water concerns, since we don't provide drinking water to anybody.
Or your own entity. But if you had a SUD, a supplementary utility district, who is they did not receive funds.
Non-recipient.
And you could turn around and, if they're in your county, you could turn around and gift them X amount of money to
If they
use
didn't
to-
receive funds? is
If
that
they didn't
correct?
receive funds. SUDs did not receive funds.
Okay.
Cities and counties only receive funds.
But that's a utility.
It's
That's not
it's-
a water district.
It could be a water district. If anybody who did not receive funds, so if anybody who is not a city public water utility system, or a county who owns a public water utility system, whatever you want to call them, there's quite a few different names for them in the state of Texas. I'm just saying SUD because it came to my mind. It's a supplement, it's a special utility district.
You don't have to see that.
I think, I mean, in my mind, we don't put them on the survey. We can, there's very few ESDs or qualifying governmental entities. If they want to submit something, they can, and then Grant Works will tell us that it qualifies.
If they're watching, they're sharpening their pencils.
And that goes back to that, at the end of the money, there's $100,000 left. If, at that point, you could decide to distribute with your ESDs, your volunteer fire departments, Headwaters, UGRA, those kind of people, if they had a valid project that you supported, then you could leave, you know.
Right, but their use of the funds has to go back to that procurement fund.
Correct, exactly. Exactly.
Now, does it have to be a special need, something that's just come up? Or something that they
No.
were not able to do because of
COVID.
this last year?
Yeah.
And the reason behind that, because
over
when you
here.
look at infrastructure, even though the rural,
Come over here. I'll let Laura get by with it, but I'm not.
when you look at the infrastructure types of projects, even though they don't specifically say that you have to show the clear time back to COVID, it's presumed, if you will, because during a pandemic, we all need access to water, we all need access to sanitary sewer, we all need access to communication via broadband. So that's why the infrastructure projects do not have to have a clearly documented tie back to COVID. It's presumed that those things are services that are essential in the event of a pandemic or a public emergency. You know, people have to work, children have to go to school. We've already learned that, you know, it needs to be done virtually, and that's another reason for the broadband.
I think this is a good time for us to take a break. We've been going about an hour and a half, and that's about anyone's normal limit. So let's take about a 5-minute break, come back, try to wrap up the workshop, and go into our regular meeting. come back to order. I think we're close to wrapping up the workshop to get to the special meeting.
We are.
So who needs to go first?
Okay, let me just say a couple of things here. I think Jonathan has a question for GrantWorks before we let them go also. Go ahead.
My question is that the nonprofits is one of the things that we check off on. I'm a nonprofit, and I'll just use an example that makes it easier for me. Every youth sports in the community that are all nonprofits have a really rough 2 years because their numbers were way down. They couldn't do concession stands and things of that nature. We have a procurement policy which is pretty restrictive. How, if we were to choose one of those nonprofits to get some funds, and they can document that as code, their revenues are down because of COVID.
They go through all of it.
They go all those. How does the procurement thing impact them? I mean, because how do they, I mean, do we just give them a check, or do they have to do something to, other than showing that they have lost revenue? I mean, how do they fit with the procurement side? And it can be any nonprofit.
Yeah, so a nonprofit wouldn't have to show lost revenue per se for themselves. You can make an assumption just based on what you're saying that during that time, they were not able to receive funds from their fundraising efforts that they typically do. They can show that, I'm sure. I think, are you asking if we, let's say you developed a policy that said you're gonna give all these nonprofits $10,000 apiece, are you saying what about the expenditures, what they can do with that money?
Right, can they do anything, or do they have to follow? I guess we have a procurement policy. How does that affect the money that we would give to a nonprofit?
All right, so we'd be asking them, what are you going to spend the money on? Because maybe they need to supplement their staff salary costs. Okay, procurement wouldn't come into play on that. But if they wanted to purchase something, a vehicle or equipment, then procurement would come into play. But it depends on literally on what they want to use those funds for.
Well, if it's just to recoup, I mean, I'm just thinking to recoup reserves, or just to try to make themselves whole, or to give scholarships to kids that try to get the numbers back up. I mean, offset. I mean, most of the nonprofits that and this goes for almost, it's large nonprofits work, but for a lot of them, they're volunteer based, and there is, they just try to make ends meet, and the money would go for kind of general operations. It wouldn't go to a specific purpose.
Well, I think if you go back to the expenditure categories, one of the things you can look at, even though I think we checked off on the age of nonprofits, okay, I think we do want to look at what types of services they actually provide in the community.
Right. But they can, I'm saying that if their use of the funds is general operations, is that sufficient and that meets all the federal requirements?
If it's general operations and if you're okay with the types of services they provide, then yes, it would be okay. But we would want to see their operational budget. We'd want to see that. We'd want to know what is their planned use of the money.
Okay.
Well, to me, trying to capture that is like, kids that miss the prom. It's not gonna happen. So the next season, you charge a little more for the increase or whatever. It's a whole nother, what I'm trying to say, it's a whole nother kids implications with your example.
Yeah.
It may be that way with a lot of the nonprofits.
Most of our nonprofits are volunteer based.
Okay.
One more question before you leave. Would it help somebody like this if they gave maybe a 3 or 4 year average of what they normally take in and then what they didn't? Would they come on that application when it comes to you?
Yes, but we would want to look at maybe 2 or 3 years back and
Okay.
see. They just need to show that there was a loss, okay, and we can make the assumption that it was related to COVID.
Okay.
Along with justification.
Right.
And we also have to do evidence-based, population, we have to do that evidence-based interventions.
Come on down.
They also have to, when they do an intent to submit, and it comes to me, if I don't have everything I need, I would send it back saying I need a justification, I need that loss, to show what kind of business they are, what they're providing services for. I want to know, they have to give us an area where the recipients must identify the amount of the total funds that are allocated to evidence-based interventions, which is based on your population. And
What is, I don't understand evidence-based. What does that mean?
it's a format, it's a formula that you look at. And so it's saying use of evidence section above. Basically what that is a US Census population, I believe, and the salary within that population. So they actually have to look to see if they are providing services to a correct population based on federal guidelines.
Okay, and if there's one other question, on the either the intent to apply or the application, who and how much assistance do these entities get from, or are expected to get from GrantWorks and or the county grant administrator?
Okay, run that by again.
How much assistance comes, you mentioned that if you get something, you'll send them an email back.
I'll send Rosa an email back.
And how much assistance are any applicant going to get in filling out the application?
No.
Exactly what they do.
I don't think we help them fill out the application. I think once they've submitted it, if we need additional information, then we'll request it. But
I think the rule of thumb is, what you're gonna get back from GrantWorks and what you're gonna get back from our grant administrator is the communication of what else is needed.
Yes.
That's the communication. And so for all applicants out there, the two most important things are explain, and document.
submit whatever background
And
data.
if there's more information needed, it'll come back down the track, come back down to you.
It should be an arm's length thing. We don't want to try to hold somebody's hand while they walk through that process, and that would be favoritism.
Okay.
County government can't.
Well, I don't even want the appearance or the thought of it, so just everything you just heard, forget that. I'm not gonna hold anybody's hand.
No, we're not gonna hold anybody's hand, right. The last thing I have, and then I think Mr. Clark would like to say something, is I prepared a PowerPoint, and you have a copy of it. And based on what we put in the PowerPoint, the only deletion we did was the small businesses thing off of, I don't know what page it is, but where you said you were not interested in small business. Negative economic impact, I'll take off that small business stuff, and the rest of it should be good. So, we're not gonna go through all this. I had asked him to show it, but time-wise, I think we're good. If you look this over and you find something, you can give me a call or.
And to clarify, on the infrastructure page, look at that. It has water, sewer, or broadband.
We're gonna take out sewer.
We're gonna eliminate sewer.
Right.
Not approved.
Right.
Other than that.
Other than that,
But now, look, remember this, my checklist right here. Should we, if we X out everything except stormwater, shouldn't we X out water and just say stormwater? And well, I mean, I think this needs to be, this document needs to
Specific.
exactly reflect what we just did.
Yeah.
okay.
And so we did, like under.
Responding to
on
infrastructure
school,
needs.
Like where it says under the public health, where it says prevention.
Oh.
Nursing homes, I guess, there was some discussion on that, but then dense work sites, schools, et cetera, or maybe it's up to dense work sites and schools come off.
Okay.
And we decided we're only looking at nursing homes and jails.
What's the discussion on nursing homes? I thought we picked that off.
Well, the judge thought, the one that he had.
Okay, so we'll leave nursing homes and jail on that one. That's good? Copy that one.
Right. We get rid of dense work sites and.
Right. And then on medical, we have medical expenses.
Yeah. Did we want to X that one out?
We left that, I think we left that one in.
Did we? Yeah, we left a question mark by that one, so we will,
Is this gonna be shown to the public?
right, this is the workshop presentation.
Yeah, Rosa, we don't need to go through it, I just think that what we decided on this sheet.
I have it
is
marked.
reflected on this sheet.
That's exactly what we'll do.
Yeah.
All right,
Good.
I think I'm through for now.
Quick question, I'm sorry.
Rosa?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, on the survey, the surveys can be submitted electronically or mailed,
Right.
but the application, the intent to
No,
submit
do
an
you have,
application must be submitted electronically?
correct,
So they cannot be mailed?
correct. Everything's gonna be done virtually. Now, when you hire your next grant administrator, if they wanna do it that way, that's fine, but this person is gonna do it electronically.
I think that's the way everything's.
It's yeah, grants, that's the way grants are done.
I'm just thinking
With
of
everything.
like court setting, you know, we still have pro se people who are still able to bring paperwork in. They're always given the option of filing service.
No. This deal has to be done virtually.
Okay, thank you, Rose.
Yep.
Jack Clark.
Step on up, Jack.
Rose is still there.
I'll move.
I'm Jack Clark.
Thanks for your patience sitting through the office.
Sir?
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, no. It was holding my thoughts that kept me going. I'm Jack Clark. I'm representing ESD and Mountain Home Fire. But mainly, I'm here just talking about the whole general process. I think y'all know, because I was here a long time ago and had one of the first copies of the act, and certainly not a lawyer, but read it, and I want to talk about a little bit about intent. The judge has brought it up a couple of times, and a couple of others of different parts of it, but this act and this money was to make people whole. And when you start talking about private is out, I don't think that was the intent, because the initial things that I saw on the news and the safety seminar that I went through, it was talking about all kinds of things, everything from, of course, they were certainly talking about EMS, the guys that had to work overtime, the equipment that had to be bought for them, the courthouse that had to put up shields, and that was all stuff that happened during COVID. And this seems to be going the other direction. This seems to be skipping over the make people whole and going to the what can we do in the future. And that paragraph down there, to me, is talking about broadband. Okay, I would love to have a new radio system for everybody, fire departments, sheriff, everything, but that's also a normal function of the court and the budget. And I'm looking at, from hearing the last webinar, went through it, or seminar that y'all did a week ago with Grant Works? Monday. Okay.
It seemed like him up here.
Yeah, anyway, okay, a week ago. And Grant Works started talking about pulling their list out of it. The first page of the act goes through, Judge, what'd you say, is there 5 items?
Yes.
4 of them are related to COVID?
Yes.
Right.
And we seem to have jumped to 5 about things in the future. When they start talking about building libraries, filling in the youth exhibit hall for future emergency evacuation, I don't think that is what was in the first 4. But that's, just like I say, it's just my opinion. My little deal of $40,000 for the fire department is peanuts to what y'all have to deal with. But I did want to say that about what, after I read that and the list they've been talking about here, I didn't see some of those things. I think they're paraphrasing or expanding on some intent. And if you use the word intent and you go back to the act itself, I think the intent was to make people whole. I mean, that was everything from caterers to restaurants that had to close, And when y'all start talking about private industry, whether it's nursing homes or not, I think you're wrong. I think private was part of the deal. It was if I ran across it the other day, a party supply store went out of business. I think that was related to COVID because they couldn't have parties anymore. I think there were restaurants that closed their doors that, couldn't let people in. And those are all private. So just consider it, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Is there anything else we need to cover in this workshop?
I just want to clarify that the workshop next week is not a commissioners court meeting. I'm going to post it as a quorum may or may not be present, but it will not be on YouTube. We don't have those capabilities at the event center, so just so people know, it will not be on YouTube.
I don't know if the public can hear all that, but we're gonna have a workshop next Thursday afternoon at the event center that will not be broadcast on YouTube.
Right.
And that's because we don't have the ability to do that because of the acoustics.
We tried before, and it wasn't very good.
Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the workshop, and we're going to go ahead and go into a special commissioners court meeting. And we're going to go, we have several consideration items on the agenda here. Item 1.1 is. I'm sorry.
Business. Jack just said. I'm still kind of workshop.
Okay. The Kirk County Commissioners Court will come to session for a special meeting. It is 10:57. The first item on the agenda is to consider, discuss, take appropriate action to approve the intent to submit form to the American Rescue Plan Act funding and determine the time frame to accept forms. That's the attachment of tab 1.
I move for approval as submitted.
And this would be for the addition by the end of the year.
Yeah, December 31st.
So we've got a motion to approve the form and make the deadline form December 31 of this year. Is there a second?
So,
Got a motion and a second. Those in favor?
wait a minute, Judge. And so we'll change this from what the form says now to December
That's correct.
31st. Okay. The form now says,
November 11th.
right.
That-
This is-
There's that packet that I gave you,
Oh.
that's all that updated, that one, that's December
Okay,
31st.
very good.
Yeah.
Thank
Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous.
This is pretty much expected, a one-page.
you. Very simple.
Do we want to take business off of it?
No.
Oh, no, okay, we'll do it then.
Item 1.2, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to approve the project application form for the American Rescue Plan Act funding and determine the timeframe to accept applications. And the proposal, I believe, is to approve the form and applications will be due
30 days.
30 days from when?
From the time they receive electronically their invitation to submit, then 30 days after that would be the deadline. Because as we get these letters of intent, we're going to send them in. And so if we get some of them back, then I'll go ahead and invite them to, and that way we don't have all the applications come in on the same day. We've got time to,
So it'll be a very fluid process.
right, exactly.
It won't go any further than the end of January, won't it?
Well,
We're gonna have them submitted by, didn't we just decide we're gonna have them submitted by the 31st?
That's right, we're going to go to Grant. then Grant Works bounces them back,
Okay.
and we give them back to the applicants.
So when is the trigger pulled, is what I'm trying to get?
When we get them
30 days
back,
from whenever Grant Works sends them back?
correct. When they're approved to submit.
So that would, they would all have to be in by the end of January, unless they're gonna sit on them a while.
Correct.
I have a process question. We're only looking at the first block of money.
Correct.
1 million or 2 million. And we know, we think we're gonna get a second block, so we're gonna, anyway, I guess my point is there a reason that we have to have all these deadlines? Why can't we just put it out there, they submit them, we review them, and we can start funding as we decide we wanna do? Why do we have to wait for all of them to come at once? Because we may have,
I don't think we want to.
We don't.
want to do what?
Wait till the
The money doesn't have to be spent till
Right,
26.
so I mean, I don't, why we need deadlines on these, on the notice of the intent and the application? As soon as they submit them, it gets through the process, and if the money's gone, the money's gone.
Well, the reason I chose the December 31st was because of the Thanksgiving, Christmas holidays are coming up, and I didn't want to put a stress on anybody to do it on November the 15th or November 30th or whatever because of that. We were just, I got the impression Monday that you wanted to extend the time out a little ways.
Well, I'm
But
saying-
as soon as they send in the notice to submit, I can forward it to Lori. That's.
I'm saying not have deadline dates, period. I'm saying just let them submit them, and, you know, I think, there are some people that are aware of this, the board will be aware of that after the workshop. But
Okay.
if we're gonna get more money, and I just think we start dealing with it as we get them, and I don't know why we need a deadline.
For order.
Okay. Then we'll just
Do
take
things
out
in an
that.
orderly fashion, we have deadlines for everything, we have time, we have windows for all kinds of stuff. I don't think this should be any different. Now, whether we want to expand it out and give us 12 months so everybody knows, your point is well taken that some people won't know, but I don't think it should be open-ended. We're trying to get back to normal. We've had 2 years worth of, we don't know when the hell anything's gonna happen or whether the rules are gonna apply. I'm tired of that personally.
Okay, I guess the deadlines all seem short to me. I
Well,
mean,
that's a good point.
and I don't know why,
Well, I think what I'm hearing, we're talking about the intent to submit. And we're trying not to rush people on that because of politics. We're all in agreement on that?
Yes, sure.
And so arbitrarily, we'll just at the end of the year, December 31, we pass that, see that one. But as I understand it, as these intents to submit come in, it's going to be a fluid process. They'll go from Rosa to Grant Works will do what they want to do with them. We'll get it back, get it back. This is just a thumbs up, thumbs down, first vote. And once they get the thumbs up, they can apply right away.
Right.
There doesn't need to be a deadline on that.
Right.
That's why-
Well, yeah, there should be, because you gotta know how much money you got.
Well,
All
that
right.
was the 30
And,
days.
That would be my first.
yeah.
So that's us.
Yes. I know, but if you got a check out there that had to clear, you'd like to know that.
That was the reason I thought the 30-day window would be easy for them. Because some of them probably already have most of their backup information and what they want to do and stuff. So let's hypothetical again. I get their intent to submit on December the 2nd. Okay? Send it to Grant Works. Grant Works sends back on December the 10th. I'm going to give y'all some days because it's the holiday time and you'll be, okay, so they send it back December 10th. So I send an email to whatever organization, the sheriff's office, we'll choose sheriff's office. I send an email and say, okay, now go online, fill out the application, get your stuff together, get it submitted. So he's already got a lot of stuff done. So he submits his on December 23rd. Okay, I'm gonna send it to Grant Works. They're not gonna do it on December 23rd, 24th, 25th, whatever. But they might get that application back to us. If I put a 30-day deal on it, then they're gonna get that back to us by January 15th. Okay, and then we bring it to the court says yes, that's the end of it.
I guess I would say, the application is thinking, and I've dealt with another nonprofit trying to get bids on something right now, not in this county. It took 2 months to get an engineer to draw a simple drawing, and it hadn't even gone out for bid yet.
Yeah.
So I think that, if it's a,
Well, you wanna make it 60 days, would that be?
I would say 90. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
and I mean, some of them, they should be able to fill out an application almost in one day.
Okay.
But some of them, when someone's doing a construction type
Yeah.
project, it can take 90 days easily to get.
Fine.
Well, let's go back to deadlines. I mean, we're looking at 5.2 million more or less, but what are we thinking of in terms of our deadline to get something done? And that may or may not involve other applications, but I'm talking about what we internally are thinking about doing. Or are we thinking that's open-ended too?
Well, you have until December 31st of 2024.
I guess what I'm getting at is it's the same thing. We're gonna have to make some decisions on some big items, and then we're gonna be looking at how much we have left
Right.
of these applications that we can help. So we kind of need some sort of a deadline that we're all looking at.
I can look at everything.
Well, the deadline for obligating funds is December 31, 2023. Right?
24.
24.
Yeah.
So we got 2 years.
2 years.
And then they have 2 years after that to actually
So it's,
complete the work.
rushing them right here at the
So
beginning.
it's a big window.
I think the notice of intent's good, because everybody has some idea what's out there. The application, I think, should be, at least 90 days. And some of them maybe a day, but some of them may take a long time, it
Right.
depends on what the applications are.
Okay, so you're gonna hold on to the ones that you get for 90 days and wait until the 91st day and look at all of them? Or are you gonna see?
See, here's what I'm thinking, is that when somebody comes and they file, they're gonna build something. And they file with the county clerk, they're putting in new construction. It is an automatic thing, and there is a time limit on it. You have 30 days, or it just happens. And you can't do that with this. It's gonna be, but it still needs a time. Everything needs a trigger date when they start, when it needs to be completed, when you need to know. So otherwise, the organization you're talking about, if you're talking about construction, that kind of stuff, you kind of have to know when your start date is. And if you're going to be able.
Well, that's one of the requirements that
Well,
you
what I'm
have.
saying is that if we're gonna, and I presume the application's gonna be for like $1,293.10. We're gonna have to, it's gonna take a fair amount of time to come up with that number. And it's gonna be more than 30 days.
Okay?
Sorry, just throwing it out there. If the sheriff turns in an LCRA radio contract for the whole county for $5.2 million and it's approved, what are you gonna do?
It'll be a second round of 5.2.
Yeah. And everything else will be put on hold, but hopefully it's not gonna do that much.
Well, it's up there.
Oh, I know, it's up there. But I think that I think that we approve them as they come in to a point, or we wait at some point. I mean, I don't see the rush between now and 6 months to them, plus or minus, before we start making decisions. I think that's kind of a more, maybe that's the right way to approach it. When do we want to make the decision, start making decisions, and then have applications due 30 days before that day?
Well, and also there's the scoring process, and we might look at those as, just say that it's based on 100. So it's 90 and above, we look at it first.
Because when those applications are due, it's still going to take quite a bit of time after that, because it's then going to go back to GrantWorks, make sure they're still in compliance. And then if you decide to have them graded, whatever criteria you use or whoever you use, you've got to give those people time. So it's not like even if they're due, in 6 months and you want to make that decision in 7 months, that's not enough time. So just keeping in mind that even once they're due, it's a process after they're submitted also.
What are other counties doing? How long between submitting the notice and having an application?
How long, or, go ahead, I had a discrepancy.
No, This is Joe Carroll, she, I think that's the question.
So Groundworks is actually working with about 140 different cities and counties on this act, and I'll tell you this, that you're the first one to get to this point where you've actually got a process that's been worked on. So right now, you're leading the rest of the state.
Trailblazers.
Yeah.
That's why I said he was in your
Coming on.
I feel better now.
I feel comfortable that we need, it's good to let the people know that they need to get these intents to submit into us. I think that's.
That's good, I agree.
Right.
But at this time, do we set the deadlines today? Or do we massage this process over the next,
That might be good to come back to.
and come back and have a better feel of what these deadlines ought to look like?
Here's what I don't like about it is this. That we have it open-ended. People might drag their heels, it might go too long. A lot of parents in here, if you tell your kids, I want you to do that, but you don't give them a deadline, does it happen? No, not until there's a deadline.
Yeah, the night
And that's
before.
true of all of us. We carry all those habits with us our entire lives, so we really do need to have some kind of, close the lid, this is done, sorry, last guy in the gate.
I agree with that. And I think that, yeah, and I'm fine with the judge.
But I think setting deadlines today, we haven't thought it all through.
True.
And so I think what we've done, I agree with, but on these others going forward, I'd like to have the latitude to come back after we've had a chance to think and talk it over, and see what a realistic timetable should look like.
And see what the notice of the intents are, because that'll give us some idea as to how much time some of this is gonna take.
Absolutely.
It might, I'm sorry,
And budgets.
it might be good to hear from some of the nonprofits that have done a big project or made a big submission, got a grant, how long that process took. New to me, I don't know how long it
It's
took.
long.
Sure.
So you're gonna have to get contractors in, and, I mean, it takes easily
That's
6 months.
That's not on all of them, that would be different.
A big one, a bigger project, but a smaller one can take 30 minutes. I mean,
Right.
like the youth orchestra, the youth stuff. Youth orchestra, had a bad fundraiser. You can fill that out pretty quick and submit it to us.
In order to expedite things, we've been at this, almost 2.25 hours. On number 2, I think I would just not determine the timeframe to accept the applications at this time.
We'll pass that.
So pass it.
Well, we'll pass the application. We'll
No,
approve the
let's
project
approve the application.
What we gonna miss, what the other one?
One thing Rosa, maybe the last question on this, should we prompt people to maybe turn in 3 or 4 years? If it's somebody like the VFD that had fundraisers and then had to cancel because of COVID, do we prompt them to put up what they?
I think that would be wise to provide the
Build
data.
it into the form though?
Sure,
The question? maybe?
sure.
And that could be Little League.
See
or
down
whatever,
there, see down there where it says
whatever.
note, application and any additional information must be submitted.
Okay.
See it down there on the bottom of that first page. So that should cover that.
Okay.
And any other things like say prior year budgets, I think we might leave a little bit on that application to what we're looking for, so we don't get them in and then have to go back. I think anyone's requesting money because of a loss is gonna have to send 3 years budget.
Okay,
You talking
so,
about their P and L, or are you talking about what they normally budget for?
They're,
All we're trying to do really are approve forms.
yeah.
And this is just this is the application.
Right.
Approve the intent form, now we're actually approve the application form. All this detail that we're talking here, getting down to the weeds, is gonna be, when she's telling them, be sure to put the documentation in,
Yeah.
be sure to do this.
Yeah.
I can suggest in my email that they add their prior 2 years budget or whatever. Yeah, those are little things that we can do easily.
guess a school teacher be coming out. I know how
Yeah, I know.
you get 3 or 4 word answers to some questions.
Right in red at the top.
But just kind of move things along, I'm gonna go ahead and move that we approve the application.
I'll second.
Without the deadline.
Without that, just approve the form, get it started.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion about that? Got a motion and a second? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Let's do the same thing on number 3. Number 3 says, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to define specific criteria. And that's that criteria that is printed out under that tab 3. And the scoring process for applications submitted for the American Rescue Plan Act funding. I like the criteria.
I move to approve. Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the criteria for the ARPA grant, ARPA funding. Any other discussion? Favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. 1.4, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to approve the procurement policies and procedures and the procurement checklist for the ARPA Act funds. Any discussion on that? We have a motion and a second to approve the procurement policies and procedures and the procurement checklist.
Judge, may I just, this is one of those where I think that it would be a good idea for each of you to look through each of those requirements. And Tanya and I talked some about this one last week, and we thought, or week before last even, maybe when we first got it, and we thought that Miranda this morning was going to provide a little bit of education about what those policies are, but it will be good for y'all to adopt it as it relates to the ARPA funding specifically, so that order can be attached. If you adopt that policy, the order can be attached, and so it's just adopted as it relates to ARPA. Because I think in the past when we've adopted federal rules or other guidelines, it's been to specific projects, and that would be helpful in this regard.
I agree. Got a motion, Harley?
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on this one?
We have Harley and me.
Okay. Those in favor, raise your hand. Then do the ARPA Act. 1.5, consider, discuss, take appropriate action to set a budget for the anticipated expenditures from the ARPA grant administration. And budget there includes grant works as well as our grant administration.
That's all out of the grant money.
All paid out of the ARPA
So
budget.
we know what the amount is.
Right.
Okay. I move for
Now,
approval.
but other contract services, that's, we're paying Rosa and others for the next?
Yes,
Is it?
It's everything, it all comes out of that.
But,
yes, and this is, keep in mind, this is over 4 years, it's not just for the current year.
but the salary for that new position, which is largely gonna be for this grant, is over $50,000 a year.
And so when we get to where we hire the employee for that, we will be pulling in the budget for that and looking at decreasing the amount that's currently in general fund 10, and we would be moving it to the ARPA at that point.
Why wouldn't we include it now?
We could, we haven't hired anybody yet as an employee.
It's going to change
We
regardless.
budgeted for that position, didn't we?
Well, I know, but this is, I mean, this is a budget for the ARPA funds. We're hiring someone for this.
But not just,
Not, yeah.
Yeah.
so this, I don't know if we can put a percentage tag onto it, but I don't think we can, I don't think we should, because we have somebody that's gonna do all grants, and it's not tied just to the ARPA.
And it will be based on timesheets. They will have to keep separate timesheets for the ARPA fund, just like we currently do right now for the sewer project.
So we're going to be doing budget amendments as we go on with regard to grant administration related to the ARPA funds.
When we get somebody hired, when we commit the funds for a certain reason, my thought is bring it in at that point. I mean, if we could set a $10 million budget right now for the entire funds, but we'd have a huge line for who knows where it's gonna go at this point.
I think my point is that number seems real low to me, and should we try to have this more accurate, or let's leave it the way it is and amend it later?
Oh, the 40,000?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
I can't hear you.
That's
Yeah.
40,000.
The 40,000 should be enough for this year probably, but you're right, we may need more funds as we go along. This was hopeful that we'd get a permanent grant administrator sooner rather than later. And so this just put in the 40,000, it's just an estimate.
I guess my point is, we get 10.2 million, 450,000, or whatever it is coming out of that off the top, that we can't spend, that's not available for projects.
Correct.
I would rather have this number higher, so we're taking that off the table right now. I'd rather have 200,000 here, so then we've got 600,000 that we're allocating as if we're gonna hold in reserve as opposed to 460,000.
I think we should work with the 5.1, that's what we already have.
Well, yeah, but
That's not the administration.
right. I just think the administration budget, we would want it higher rather than lower, so we don't overspend.
Okay. So go ahead and add it right now.
I mean, I said 200,000, I'm not sure what the number's supposed to be, maybe it's 150,000. But I think that we ought to have that number, it's gonna be a lot more than 40,000.
And what is it
But
for?
this is for this fiscal year, right?
It's for the whole
Well,
year.
it's a 4-year grant, so it would be for the 4 years. As we, I guess my thought process was as we commit the money certain places, we would bring in the revenue at that point to
But
cover
we're
it.
accumulating all of grant work monies in this one line item.
Because we've signed a contract and we've committed for it.
But we haven't committed to the office supply.
That is an estimate of getting the computer ready, getting all of the paper that will be needed for the current.
See, we're doing two things. For some items, we're doing only what we're doing right now, and other items we're doing for the grant. And that seems inconsistent to me. That ought to all be what our best guess is today, that we're gonna spend for the administration of this ARPA fund.
Some of it's startup costs, you always have startup costs. So that goes away.
So you want me to come back and like multiply all of these by 4? For 4
I just
years?
don't know. I mean, we have, the grant works is a full amount. The others are unclear to me if it's I just think they need to have, I think we need to know what the total administrative estimated cost is gonna be. I think we need to be consistent on this budget. Right now, we have, one item is a 4-year period, so it's 100,000 a year. The other items are 1 year. And we should make them all 1 year or all 4 years.
Okay. Jody and I can confer on that and bring in a different budget back to you then on next Commissioners Court.
Am I off base?
No, it doesn't hurt to block it out.
I think
Right.
you give confidence of when we distribute what we got left.
You gotta earmark it.
Yeah.
So we'll do it on the basis of fiscal year. Or what?
4 years.
4 years?
4 years.
I would say go 4 years just because
Okay.
we know what we're going to have to pay Grant Works for the
Right.
4 years. The rest, we're still not gonna know. It'll be our best
It'll be an
estimate for
Good.
4 years.
Yeah.
Right.
It's an apple to apple comparison.
Yes, that's a good point.
So does this, does that money at that point go in the general fund, or how do you?
No, this will be in a separate fund that we've set aside for ARPA money
In
only.
a separate account?
It is in a separate account right now also. The treasurer did set that up.
So we're gonna pass on this today?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to 1.6. Consider and discuss and take appropriate action regarding public input related to the ARPA funding. And then we're just gonna handle that at the workshop next Thursday, right?
Yeah, that would be the community survey and the PowerPoint that we need to approve.
So that's to approve the community survey and PowerPoint.
Correct.
As presented in the workshop today.
Correct.
And the community survey will be,
And we'll
Consistent
mark
with
off
ours.
G.
Yes.
yeah, you'll redo this to make it line up with
Right,
this.
right,
Yeah.
I move for approval.
exactly.
Second.
So we got a motion and a second to approve the PowerPoint and the community survey as presented at the workshop today. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. 1.7, consider discuss take appropriate action regarding grant administrator job posting and interviews. We got 3 applicants. Have you copies of those applications? We've got 3 applications. And we talked about interviewing all 3. Just 3 of them. But we didn't want to go necessarily back to back.
Is it, are we closed taking applications? I had somebody inquire me yesterday, I said, no, wait.
Still open as far as I know.
I think we could do this like we've done extension office. You know, just everybody in a day, bring them in, talk to them. That's what I would prefer. You get to it quick enough. You know, at the end of the day.
You wanted one day.
I would like to do it one day.
My previous experience.
Okay.
It's fresh in your mind if you defer from one candidate to the next.
Exactly.
And the posting is still open, is that correct?
Exactly, it's open until filled, so do you want to put a deadline on that?
I would prefer not to, because if we don't want to hire one of the 3, it's still open.
I would say, ASAP, I need cars.
And for those of you out there that have any interest in it, get your applications in as soon as possible. And whoever your inquiry was, let them look at it in. And we'll just do it all in one day. So is there any action we need to take? Okay. It's been a long morning. I appreciate everybody's patience, but I think it's important to discuss these things and have a clear plan going forward of how we're going to do it. So I thank everybody for that. And there being no business for the court, we are adjourned.